Okay, this is for row 6. I'm going to start with a different color of yarn just to make it easier for you to tell which row does what. Before we start though, turn your hat over so you're looking at the back, and you'll see we're going to check row 5 to make sure we did it right. You'll see that there are 2 double crochets, space 1, space 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And you're going to look all the way around and make sure that it follows that pattern all the way around so that we can make sure that we did row 5 correctly. If you didn't do row 5 correctly, you'll need to take it out, do it again, because it will make row 6 very difficult to do if you don't have it done correctly. So let's go ahead and start row 6. We'll start by chaining 3. Then we're going to work a cluster. Now the cluster is different this time around because in row 5 we just had this straight post. Now we have these kind of upside down V's. Those are the clusters we made in row 5. What we're going to do is yarn over, and then from the right to the left, go through the entire cluster and pull your yarn through, and then yarn through 2 of them. We want to leave 2 hooks on or 2 stitches on our hook because this is basically a decrease. We're going to yarn over again, and now we're going to go through this double crochet, or this cluster I mean. Pull through, yarn over and pull through 2. Now we've got 3 stitches on our hook. We'll pull through all 3 of them. And that's going to be our first cluster. And that's how we're going to work clusters from here on out. Our next step will be a double crochet, which we will put in the top stitch of this post that we just clustered in. And then the next 2 stitches are 2 double crochets here. We're going to double crochet only in the first one. Oops. Now we're going to skip the second one for now, but remember it because we're going to come back to it. So let's cluster. We'll start on the right one and then go over to the left one. And then this double crochet we skipped, we're going to yarn over and double crochet in the one we skipped. Now we'll double crochet on the top of the cluster, and then we'll double crochet in this single double crochet here. Now we're going to do another cluster. And we're going to start again. So you'll notice that there are 2 double crochets here. That tells us that we need to do 2 double crochets. So we'll do 1 in the top of this cluster below, and then 1 in the first double crochet. And now we'll cluster. So now you look and see there's only 1 double crochet after. That tells us we need to go back and do the one underneath, and we'll actually do 3 double crochets. So the one behind that we skipped, the one on top of the cluster, and the double crochet. And then cluster. And we'll follow this pattern all the way around. We've got 2 here. So when there's 2, we'll do 2 double crochets. When there's 1, we'll do 3 double crochets. So there's 2, so we'll do 2 double crochets, 1 on top of the post, or on top of the cluster, and 1 on top of the double crochet. Then we'll cluster and go behind, on top, and on top. Cluster. Oops. Got to finish my cluster here. And then on top of my post, on top of my double crochet, and then cluster. And we're going to continue this all the way around. Go back behind. Now some people have asked me on my row 5 video if I only double crochet in the back half of my stitch. That's the way I learned how to crochet. You can either do the back half, which is just this top loop, or you can do the whole stitch, which is both of these loops. The only difference is when you do the back loop, the front loop makes a line in front. If you do the whole thing, there is no line in front. Usually your choice of doing just the back loop or the full loop, just depends on what you want your finished product to look like, whether you want that line in front or not. In this case, if you look back, you can see that the row we're doing now is actually going to cover up all of those stitches, so it doesn't matter. If you want to do the whole loop, that's great. If you want to just do the back loop, that's fine too. Whatever you're most comfortable with, go ahead and do. Okay, now I forgot where I was. All right, we're gonna cluster. I'll go back behind. Oh, I must have missed behind because I just did that on the post. On the front post, double crochet, cluster below. Yep, I did. This is the one I wanted over here. And then on my post, and then the next one. Now, if it's hard for you to, oh, come on. If it's hard for you to look at it and see what you're supposed to do, if you prefer just knowing a pattern, a repeating pattern, then what you're going to do is just remember it's 2 double crochets, cluster, three double crochets. 1, 2, 3, then a cluster. Two, cluster, 3, cluster. When you do your 2, you're going to start on the post and then do a double crochet. Then a cluster. And then when you do 3, you know you have to add a stitch on to that, and so we're going to go and do the one behind. So when you do 3, go behind, post, double crochet, and then we cluster. So we're going to do 2, so we'll do post, double crochet, cluster. Behind, post, double crochet. Now, if it takes you several times to get the hang of this row or any other row, don't feel bad. This is actually my third or fourth time videoing this row, each time thinking that I did it correctly, only to start the next row and realize that I had done something wrong. And so I would come back and redo it, keep trying again. So if you mess up and you're frustrated, just remember that at least you're not videotaping it and making mistakes. In fact, I think I'm going to run out of yarn here because of that mistake. I am, so I'm going to hurry and just make a square knot here and give me some more. In my last video, I cut off the end so that I could change colors, and now I don't have enough. Okay, so I clustered to see where I am. There's 2 here. That means I need to do 3 double crochets. So I'm going to go behind, on top, I skip one here. Oh, I lied to you. I'm sorry. When there's 3 double crochets, that means I need to do 2. So I'm going to go on top. There is no behind on this one. And into the first one. Now I'm going to cluster. And you'll see we're right here at the end. And we're going to do 1 behind, 1 on top. If I can find my loop there. And then we're going to find the top of my 3 chains and slip stitch. And that is the end of row 7. Sorry, that is the end of row 6.